Let's talk about New Year's resolutions. So, my grandma was recently in the hospital last week, and it got me thinking about grief, how life kind of moves in this unprecedented timeline of having to figure things out as we go. And for those of you who don't know, I am a psychotherapist, and so much of what I do is trying to figure out people's brains. But one of the things that really shocked me into life and existence and deep thought was having to see my grandmother on the brink of death and doctors having to save her from fluid being in her right lungs and having pneumonia on her left. And being faced with something like that, something so scary and life-threatening to someone that you love, it really makes you think about deeper life principles, like what a good life means. And grief is a really interesting friend because it brings about a sense of anxiety, panic, regret, shame. But for me, it also brought about a deeper thought about what it meant to live a good life. Long story short, to keep y'all not as concerned, my grandmother actually survived that hospital visit and she's still really healthy, thank God. But I felt like I had a second chance to really figure out what my relationship to her would look like, but more so what my relationship to time and ambition would look like. It's been a really interesting couple months because I've been sitting about making this video for a long time, and I initially had a list of things, but the intention for this year has really been having a posture of generosity and leaving nothing behind, not having a sense of guilt about what my life should have looked like. At the end of the day, I had this feeling that I had to make really deep relationships, inviting people in. And when I talk about generosity, I'm generally talking about having a posture of deep, unrelenting hands that are welcoming in people that I truly love and enjoy. And when you're going about interacting with people in a way that is, and the entire intention for this video is to just share my notes, battling what I like to call prolonged grief because my grandmother is in her late 80s now. I think that the experience of death repeatedly over the course of my life has really woken me up to the constant revisitation of what it means to live a good life. And every new year, I like to go through my photos and look back on January through December, figure out areas that I have fallen behind on and areas that I have progressed in. It's kind of like the anti-New Year's resolution of rather than creating goals, I'm learning from the year and trying to set daily intentions to be the person that I want to be. And Christmas and New Year is a very interesting time because it's a time of joy and it's also a time of great distress for people that are in deep amounts of pain. Perhaps you're listening to this and there might be grief around not talking to your family or someone that you love deeply isn't around anymore. And the whole purpose of this video is to just share my notes with you that grief is complicated, life is complicated, and at the end of the day, the only things that we can control is ourselves. You know, what's interesting is that before I became a therapist, I was an intern at this hospice that's no longer around. It was actually bought out by a bigger hospice company, but the hospice was the place that I learned about death, about futility, about existentialism, and really questioning what life was really about. And the beauty about experiencing death or being faced with death on your doorstep is that you learn that all you have is today, that living in regret and living in a place where you're constantly rewriting and revisiting things in your head, those things don't lead to progress. What's beautiful about this moment is that you have the ability to reflect on what you would want for your life, what you want for your life. And I guess that's what the intention of New Year's resolutions was originally about, right? I'm not sure about the historical context of it, but the essence of a resolution is to essentially get to a resolve with yourself, to heal some sort of desire for improvement in our lives. And when I think about New Year's resolutions and what it means to me, I wonder to myself, how do I move forward after an event like this, where I'm faced with someone almost dying in my life? And, this year has brought about a lot of interesting events, moving a couple times this year, getting to a really great place in my marriage, and having a best friend for life, having deep and rich friendships all over the world with several people, and having to question the American ethic of pulling myself up by the bootstraps. I've realized that we need people. There are so many relationships in this life that require deep intention of showing up each day. And when I talk about this theme of generosity, that's essentially what I'm talking about, that relationships do take inconvenience on our part, that we have to make it our intention to not have perfection every single day. And I'm basically talking about myself here, because there's this type A-ness, this drive to be the best at everything. And of course I want to be the best at generosity, but I don't want to gamify it. I want to live my life in a way that is soft and imperfect and flawed, and yet comes with this richness of reflection that I will never get to a place of 100% satisfaction in all areas of my life. There will be times where I will want more money, I will want more opportunities, or I will want to chase something completely different, and my ambitions will change. But this is what I don't want to forget, that death is inevitable, that life is small, and it happens in the blink of an eye. When I counsel parents and people that are raising beautiful children, I'm not a parent right now, but I hope to be one day, they always talk to me about how you blink and your child is a grown-up. My parents tell me this all the time when I come to visit them, that life happens so fast. Life is long, but it's also short, and it does require a healthy level of reflection and a healthy amount of fear in some ways to get to a place where we're happy with the life that we live. But those are some of my initial thoughts when it comes to New Year's resolutions, the holidays, grief. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.